Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Mo Nawara in the Midwest. And we are looking at a Wednesday night slate here. Got some pretty decent numbers to choose from. Want to make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. We are bringing you these videos each and every weekday of this regular season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Got plenty of great content on there all summer long for you and heading into the fall as well. Also have our great odds checker on there. Make sure you're shopping the lines to the best of your abilities, getting all the best juice you can back on those bets tonight in the MLB. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for this Wednesday slate. Lots of day games that we are going to just zip right past so we can make sure we get these videos out to you on time for some of these more evening time games. First one there that I'll just kick things off with is the Marlins in Cincinnati, a game we are going to look at here in a minute. Braxton Garrett taking on Luis Castillo, minus 145 for the Reds. We also are eyeing that total of over of minus 120, under is even money. So we will dive a little bit further into that one. Also going to talk a little bit about the Rays in Baltimore. Tyler Wells on the mound again for the Orioles. So we know that we're probably going to be talking about him because we pretty much talk about him every time he's on the mound. And he's taking on Drew Rasmussen, getting a little bit of juice there, even money on the O's in Baltimore. The Cards and the ageless Adam Wainwright in Toronto taking on Kevin Gausman and the Blue Jays, minus 255 for the Blue Jays. Plenty of juice at plus 215. If you like the Cards, we are going to talk about that one as well. The Yankees and Mets are back in New York, plus 155 on the money line for the Yanks there as they are going against Scherzer. The Guardians, Cal Quantrill and Nathan Eovaldi on the mound for the Sox in Boston, minus 130 for the Sox there to close out the Wednesday night slate there. But we are going to start with that game that I talked about. We might be talking about this total here for the Marlins and Reds, two teams that cannot hit the ball right now. Honestly, the Reds can't do much on either side of the ball. But where do you start with this one, looking at an under 8 runs?
Yeah, I'm starting by looking at Luis Castillo. Man, he's been absolutely on fire. Pitching about as well as anybody in the world right now. He's kind of been a slow starter the last couple of years, and it looks like that happened again this year, but he's kicking things into gear. His fastball velocities early in the season were not great. Well, I mean, they were still really good, but not like as good as he's capable of, sitting around 95, 96. He's up to 97, 98 now. Just graph slowly ticking up there on his velocity. And yeah, it's been fierce, and his pitch mix has been reflecting his increased fastball velocity. He's up to 40% on his four-seamer, like the last 4 starts in a row, which is quite a decent sized jump. And if you just like isolate those stats, he's got a 2.27 FIP. And that included games against Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and New York. So he's not exactly facing cupcakes there on that run. Yeah, I just think Castillo's really peaking right now. And then on the other side, that it's Braxton Garrett. Well, I guess we should say again, remind people, Castillo's also getting to face like basically the AAA lineup from the Marlins. They have like 6 hitters injured. So yeah, really brutal matchup there. And yeah, Braxton Garrett, man, he's actually been awesome this year. It's pretty hard to fake 31.2% called strike plus whiff rate. That's borderline elite territory. I mean, his chase rate is pushing toward 40%, and like 30% is average. I mean, it's pretty hard to fake the ability to just like get the baseball by big leaguers like this. Pretty eye-opening numbers. He's looking like yet another keeper in the young pitchers that the Marlins have collected. So I know that it's Red Stadium in the summer, but even then, I mean, it's only going to be like low 80s I'm seeing. So yeah, I'm pretty surprised the total's 8. I think 7.5 makes more sense to me. These offenses are poor. I might have to sweat some bullpens here, but yeah, really confident in the starters matchups today.
Yeah, and kind of hoping that we don't have to rely on those bullpens and that they let these two guys go pretty deep into the game. And both, pitched six last time that they were out. So I think that there is an opportunity to keep these guys on the mound and keep these really putrid offenses at bay for the moment. I feel bad for those Marlins who, they started to show some promise for sure, but not enough hitting right now. And then under 8 runs in a game like this feels pretty right. Let's move to a game that has some pretty big margins here. We've got the Cardinals in Toronto, which means that they are without Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, both of whom are unvaccinated and can't play in Toronto. So that is why you see this line at what it is, minus 255 on the money line for Gaussman and the Blue Jays, and the Cards at plus 215. Talking about the Cards, Wainwright, and what they can still do on offense without their two biggest, right-handed sluggers in there. Gaussman, still having a really, really good season. It's pretty much the new ace for this team and the youngster, but I would still say there are some numbers here that are a little bit, at least of late for Gaussman, that kind of leave you thinking, maybe there's a little bit of a false narrative going on with him. So where do you start with this one, looking at why you might consider getting so much juice back on the Cardinals in this matchup?
Yeah, Gaussman's great. Not gonna say anything against Gaussman. I think he's a great pitcher. He's had a couple stinkers lately. He's not untouchable for sure.
Exactly.
And yeah, the Cardinals, I know they have no Goldie and no Arenado, so natural inclination is just to think, they don't have anything left bat wise, but there's still some solid hitters available for them. Tommy Edman, Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill, Nolan Gorman. I mean, even like a platoon bat like Corey Dickerson. These guys aren't terrible. These guys are, in some cases, pretty good. So I think there's still enough here that they shouldn't be quite this big of underdogs. I don't think this is like a Royals situation where basically the entire team was out and the Blue Jays were minus 350 every game. I also was looking at the pitch type numbers. The Cardinals as a team, one thing you always want to make sure is can a team hit a splitter against Gaussman? He's maybe got the best splitter, him and Ohtani probably, right up there with anybody. Cardinals are decent against the splitter. They're 10th. So also 12th against the four-seamer, which is basically almost all Gaussman's pitches is four-seamers and splitters. So I think they have a fighting chance here. Just a really, really big number with a solid team and a solid pitcher on the mound. So, I mean, I did have the Jays pretty big favorites, but I had them like more like minus 200 than minus 250. So not like a super exciting spot, but had a little bit of value on the Cardinals. Just like good for a small play. I think both of the sides we'll talk about today, smaller plays for me. The total was the strongest one, I thought. Not a ton of value on the board tonight.
Yeah, no, there's not as much to choose from for sure, and I think a game that I do want to move on to because I do still think that there is decent value here in this Orioles matchup against Drew Rasmussen and the Rays. They pulled off another comeback victory on Tuesday night. Did the Orioles? They're looking to actually clinch this series against the Rays, something that I don't think we would have all predicted at the beginning of the season would be happening, especially this far into the season. A lot of these young guys for the Orioles making some good starts, such as Tyler Wells, who we continue to back. So tell me a little bit about what you're starting with here with this Rays and Orioles matchup. Even money, as we say on the money line for the Orioles right now, and Tyler Wells.
Yeah, even money. I had it wrong team favored on this one. So maybe I've swung too far the other way on Wells. I don't know. First I was fading him and he was killing it, but yeah, another slim one. Had them slight favorites. You know, you look at some of his recent starts. Wells, maybe he's in a bit of a slump. A couple poor ones in the last three, but I was looking into his StatCast stuff. It doesn't really seem like there's anything of concern there. His fastball velocity, it dipped a little bit, but it's like half a tick, and it's still sitting at that number he was very effective at earlier in the season. So not anything I'm too worried about. Just something to keep monitoring going forward. He did just have a start versus the Rays on the 15th. That was one of his decent starts. 2.06 FIP in that game. Just got kind of BABIP'd quite a bit. 353 BABIP that game. So don't think it's. I think it's a good sign. He gave up I think 2 runs in 5 2/3. I think the market really is still not just giving the Orioles enough credit, to be honest. I'm looking at this Rays lineup, and it's just not that impressive. Yeah, the bottom of the lineup is pretty terrible. Taylor Walls, Josh Lowe, Christian Bethancourt, Brett Phillips. I mean, these are mostly just atrocious hitters. Bethancourt's like okay. And then even like Isaac Paredes, I was looking up, man, he's been really fortunate this year. 291 ex WOBA. That's pretty bad. Compared to I think he had a 346 WOBA. So he's outpacing his StatCast expected numbers by a large amount. And I'm just not impressed at all when I look at this lineup. And I don't think they have much of an edge at all against the Orioles with the bats. And I do have Wells rated a little bit stronger than Rasmussen. So with home field and the O's having a nice bullpen, that's been better than the Rays. The Rays bullpen blew it again last night. Still, I would play the O's at even money. Once it starts getting into their minus territory, it's getting a little iffy, but we'll see where the number goes. But right now, they're still plus 100.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it, especially as you mentioned. That Rays offense has been super, super bad. It's been even worse on the road as of late, and even worse on the road against right-handed pitching. So definitely a good matchup here for Wells and the O's. And that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us as we are bringing these videos each and every weekday of this regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.